Greetings, adventurers. Welcome to the Adventure Incorporated podcast. I am your dungeon master, Anthony Reed. This is episode 215. It is another in the Summit of New Meritta story arc. It's drawing to a close, but we're not there yet. There's still some ground to cover, and I think you're going to like this episode. Some interesting ground to cover indeed. As always, if you are not a patron at patreon.com/adventureinc, well then I'm not talking to you right now. Well, I am talking to you, but I'm not speaking directly to you. Right now, this is just for our patrons. Patrons like Adam, Graydon, James, Kayla, Micah. Are you listening, patrons? Thank you. Thank you. We super appreciate you supporting the show. Especially, we understand that this could be difficult times for people. There's a lot going on. And you know what's great about you guys? All of our patrons? No change. In fact, our Patreon has gotten better. So thank you to all of you who see value in this show, want to give a little bit of value back, and help support us to keep doing this thing no matter what. So you guys are great, and everyone is great. And if you want to be a patron, you want to be great too, head over to patreon.com/adventureinc. That's how you do it. Let's get started. Nobles and farmers, knights and wenches, gather round to hear a tale of excitement and mystery. Brave adventurers facing grave dangers. Keth, the fighter monk.
A lighter subject, how's the whole corruption of the Iora Church going?
On a lighter subject?
Yeah.
Jebeddo, the rogue.
We're basically family. So do you want to admit to your family that all you want to do is learn how to read so that you can read pornos?
Jennuvera, the sorcerer.
Oh my god, guys, it worked. The plan worked.
High fives!
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. We should have a plan more often.
Gillik, the warlock paladin.
Also, I'm gonna cast Detect Magic to see if any of them are magic.
None of the gowns are magic.
What the fuck?
Asher, the druid barbarian.
With my nipples? Why are my nipples not convincing?
Prepare yourselves, for this is the tale of Adventure Incorporated.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
Is Callus back in the room yet?
Yes, Callus comes into the room and takes a seat back at the end of the table again.
Jennuvera looks at Asher and gives like a little thumbs up.
Asher thumbs up back, not knowing why. But like, he's confident. He's like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? But
Yeah. Does Keth know of what transpired with Jennuvera and
No.
Callus? Okay, so he wouldn't.
Hey, Kat.
Yeah, Jennuvera.
She said the dress was good.
I mean, I don't care what she thinks, but like, yeah, it's fucking, it's.
guys,
killer.
everybody's
Yeah.
looking at us.
Thank you.
It's great. But what? Oh, thank you, Your Majesty. So I think that the next thing we should do is figure out what the next thing we should do is. Like, as there's a lot. We kind of had a long list, and Many Pennies. What do we think?
Asher looks back at hoping to see the minor illusion PowerPoint.
That bit.
So, well, the two ones that come to my mind are pretty similar, just in different parts of the world. Fix a throne, Ishtara and Brad, and Ember, whatever, and
I do think that those are our two most important.
yeah, because they both then
right now.
also are tied to the fact that they will hopefully make one of our weapons more powerful.
And the High King.
I meant like on top of that.
Right. Yeah.
I agree. I think prioritizing getting these weapons, which will, in the end, defeat Gorm, as empowered as we can. And those are two of the avenues. And my avenue is Dunglaris, but I think that's a separate issue from these.
Right. Mine is as well.
Wait, so just so that we're all talking about the same thing here, we have been clear about solving the problem in Emberfall for Gillik. What was the second problem that you were referring to, Jennuvera?
In Emberfall?
You said solve the throne and the other one. What was that other one? Because it sounds like you don't think it's yours, and Keth doesn't think it's his.
It's Gillik's, because once we figure out...
That's the Emberfall throne.
No. I don't think anyone else is... We need to solve the Ishtara throne as well. That's not for weapons. That's for the
But
High
it's
King.
just in the area of also my weapon's purpose.
Oh, and it's in the desert, and that's where Asher's purpose is.
I have to cleanse, unite the tribes. We'll figure it out. Asher takes a sip out of his cactus drink. It's water. He's sad.
It's just cactus water.
He's like, I don't get this cactus drink thing at all.
I hate this.
I was just saying I think those two things are most important because they're under the umbrella of our Kingslayer.
Yeah, they are agreed.
And then she winces and looks at Evian, sad.
Greywood says, these things that you must do to empower yourselves. From what I gather, Gillik must cleanse the throne, as you said. That seems to... You have some sort of working plan for that.
We've also enlisted the help of the Seekers of the Shadow for this as well.
Vaisong glances around the room. He doesn't make any motion towards you. You get the sense he's uneasy with this group. He says,
that
you, Gebeddo, have already achieved this?
Achieved?
The empowering of your weapon.
Oh, yes. By resolving the issues in Verena with the Cardoza clan.
Ah. Yes, I think I may have received some reports about some of that resolution. And
so anyway,
you mentioned that yours is tied. In this presentation, you mentioned something about yours as well.
Yes. Apologies, we didn't go in depth onto what we need to actually do with these. For my weapon, I'm sure a lot of you are aware that the Ioran Church has been altered as of late, and the main culprit behind this is a man named Dunglaris. He has corrupted the church, and in order for my weapon to be empowered, I need to destroy him.
I think that it seems that this transition the church has gone through is something that started in Emberfall, but it has taken root strongly in Bradmont. There are 2 orders of Iora within Bradmont now. They run separate temples to the god. It is what once was a whisper is now a full-throated sea change in how that god is viewed among my people. I do not think you stopping one, even the head of that organization, will do much to change that, and I don't know that my people would want you to.
I think my goals have kind of evolved into just stopping that one person and allowing whatever changes he's made to see themselves through. And if it thrives, it thrives. But my weapon's empowerment isn't dependent on the path of Iorn Church.
Then I should let it be known among my lands that if this Dunglaris is seen in Bradmont, he is to be detained and brought to my dungeons, so that you may speak with him.
That would be great. He's super strong, powerful, and he has this pendant that makes him, as far as I know, although maybe not, indestructible. So he's just really strong and he has a lot of support. So tell your people to also be careful. But if they could just detain him, that would be great. Yes.
Kaelith narrows his eyes. He says, a pendant that makes him indestructible.
Right?
Have you actually seen this?
We
Fought
tried.
him, right?
Keth looks to Gebeddo, and did we try and steal it from him?
I've touched it.
You've touched
Okay.
You've touched the pendant. It exists.
Asher giggles.
What was it?
I mean, it was on a gold. It was on a silver chain around his neck. I used Mage Hand to try to move it, and I couldn't.
So,
and so I reached
you
out
never
with my
actually
hand.
got into his clothing. You couldn't get past. You couldn't get close enough to him to get into his clothing.
Right, but I thought I grabbed it and was launched off him.
You never got close enough to do that, to even grab anything. You were launched off, like this far away from him.
Oh, okay. For the folks at home, Anthony put his hands up.
I got a little bit. Just a little
How about this far apart? Yeah. I put them about this far apart. I do not mean to be skeptical. It is just so implausible. It's borderline silly, really, to say that someone could have a trinket of such incredible power and have nobody know about it.
It sounds insane, right?
Yeah, it sounds delusional. It sounds like something that someone would make up.
Completely out of whole cloth, and yet it seems like here we are.
It was a rumor that I believed. He seemed real powerful, and then when we fought him, we couldn't get close to him. And you don't. I hope it's not real. That would be great. Yeah. Also, but maybe if take precautions. If it is real, then
Real
sorry.
or not, the reputation of it is probably one of the main reasons people are following him and fear him so much.
I mean, that blood,
helps.
like that
Yeah,
blood
dude.
angel, is why I fear
He's
him. I mean, the whole untouchable thing is like one thing, but the gigantic blood angel that he summoned down to try and kill
that was
us,
crazy. Because literally,
that's
you can say,
the
"I'm
thing
untouchable." Watch,
for me.
here's a blood angel. I'm fine.
Well, again,
He's real
if
mean,
he
too.
shows face in my lands, then we will detain him in whatever way we can. And I should hope that the other
Awesome.
kings around this table would do the same. Clyde nods, and they look to Jennuvera.
Jennuvera looks at Callus.
Callus stares at Jennuvera.
Asher understands the thumbs up now.
So Jennuvera just isn't sure what to do because Callus was so insistent on it being like a win for her, and I know that was for her people, but Jennuvera is unsure how far she wants that to like carry over, and so she's just gonna say, You should have just taken me up on punching me in the face. I don't know what to do here.
Callus puts
Hey,
her
everyone.
her heads go.
Victoria Callis has an announcement to make.
Her hands just like go up to her head. She shakes her head, and she says, "I am taking back my throne from Jennuvera, who was so nice to liberate it from the Cardozan pretenders."
Asher gasps,
that was
but
Gebeddo.
Performance check for gasping. I rolled an 8.
Performatively gasps.
And it's
obviously performatively.
yeah, it's obvious and obtrusive.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Jennuvera and her group took back the throne, and to maintain continuity, held it for a time until an agreement could be made that I could reclaim what belongs to me. And so I appreciate Jennuvera's regency over the throne, but that time has ended. And now I will be retaking what is mine. And
Jennuvera smiles
Asher thumbs up.
awkwardly.
Thank you, Your Majesty, for allowing us the opportunity to assist you in this way.
That doesn't really answer the question, King Callus.
if this Dunglaris comes to my lands, he is of no need or purpose or use to me, and therefore I agree that we will detain him in whatever way we can and send word to Mughamara.
Thank you, everybody, for that. That will greatly assist us in our process here.
And can we all then kind of agree that if nobody has seen or heard him in any of y'all's kingdoms, that there's a chance he could be in Emberfall right now?
Man, that would be serendipitous.
What a convenient place for him to be.
Guys, shut the fuck up. The better it sounds, the less likely Anthony is going to go with it. If
He's
trick
definitely
him,
not there then.
yeah,
There is...
We don't want him there.
Wow.
yeah. It would be
I hope
bad
he's not
for.
there.
It would
God,
make
it would
us
be
all terribly
sad.
You want to
sad.
do only one thing and not several things at once.
It is certainly possible. As I said, the church seemed to be born out of Emberfall. But there is ample space for someone who is looking to do things nefarious, to find room within Vedris and within Paraneth to do such things as well. There is very little oversight in Paraneth if you are able to avoid or negotiate with the lizard folk and the gnolls. But we will do what we can to help Keth succeed in his mission. Asher, what is it that you are looking to do, and how can this council help you?
Oh boy. Asher scratches his head. Well, little backstory. I was a part of a tribe, as you may have gathered. Essentially, the short story is that they were a tribe dedicated to just freedom and free will, being part of the greater races. We were a collective of lost souls and people, and we did what we had to do to protect us as a unit. And slowly but surely, they all swore allegiance to Gorm Tintreach. So, and on top of that, not just my tribe, several other in the area. So we either need to convince them to change, but they're most likely corrupted by something. Probably maybe shadow magic, but last reports we had of them, they were turning into draconic beings. So potentially Gorm is just bending them to his will.
This is the Lucius, the representative of the Notatia Collective, speaks up. He says, "You are speaking of the dragon spine, no?"
I believe so, yeah. Am I?
We have had dealings with them as well, as they have come from the desert and tried to raid many of the places that we have kept our materials, our belongings, our libraries, what they are looking for, unsure. Definitely recordings and writings of various magics within the land, but those thugs have done that many times into our places. They come, they ransack, they steal, they kill, they murder, and they leave.
But normally they don't. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's great. But normally what they do, I'm sure, and what we used to do was we did it when it was necessary. We were barbarians, don't get me wrong, but when we needed supplies, we would take them if we didn't already have them. Do they go into your...
Have you ever met...
Do they go into your places and take things of, like, magic and note and writing? We hate that stuff. All spoken word, man.
That is what they take, typically, are books and scrolls and those recordings of the arcane.
Yeah. Well, we didn't always do that. We are now. Well, they are now. Frankly, they're my tribe, but honestly, I'm probably the real last member of the tribe. There's no more Noku. There's the Dragon Spine.
Elletrix says, "It seems that they have presented a power base for Gorm that we would want to undercut anyway."
Yeah, and frankly, it could be a shadowy, corruptive issue because everything is at this point, but I have a feeling it's more just Gorm kind of promising them power and handing them a leash, and them thinking that's how they secure their safety in the world.
So, what can you offer them? What can we offer them?
Well, we don't do kings. Sorry, everyone. But we do show power, and we do what we do to protect each other. So we either convince them or crush those who are in our way. At least that's my first thought. I don't know if an army really is necessary. There's a few head people there. If we take them out and show, like, you know, fun barbaric combat, man, that sounds great. That we could potentially either convince them, and if we can't, then we know that we need to get rid of them.
Our resources in Bradmont are stretched thin, but perhaps if we can garner more support across the kingdoms, then there would be room to help with something like that.
Well, and on top of that, it's there, I believe, or at least potentially, they were working with the same druids that were working with the orcs, and the druids, I believe, the orcs are disbanded and so on and so forth, but the druids aren't really allied with Gorm, but they are definitely helping him, whether or not they believe it.
And you, Jennuvera?
Yeah.
What is it that we can do to help you empower this weapon that you hold?
So, here's the thing. She looks at Iron Shaper. And she says, so...
Yeah, I just imagine you eating popcorn at this time. Hold on.
Eating a cookie. She was very stressed about this whole thing with Callus, and she needs like her blood sugar was dropping.
Stress.
So here's the thing. My purpose, I guess, is to cleanse the black dragons of the corruption in their blood. Now, I've been working with Evian, with High King Evian, with her great majesty.
She just puts up a hand.
I've been working with Evian on this, and it seems that the same, with the corruption that we've been dealing with everything else, it's like almost impossible to separate. We just don't know yet how to separate this corruption from anything. And I'm not about to kill all of the black dragons. So if anyone has any ideas on that, or also, I gave this weapon like a different purpose when it started and then completed it immediately. So I don't know if you want to just like call it that, and maybe my weapon can upgrade right now.
I don't decide the purpose of the weapon. You gave the weapon a purpose, and then it shifted, and I don't really know how that even works.
I'm either. But like here,
because also bear in mind,
Adnan.
I didn't make this one. I mean, I did, but I didn't.
Right.
And so I'm really not sure how this all went down. So as far as that's concerned, I can't help you with that.
So I have to do this one?
I mean, yeah, presumably.
Okay. I just thought maybe because like I found Adnan.
Adnan waves.
She was back.
Elletrix.
I thought I would try.
Elletrix is staring at the Magic Man, and he says, "Do the celestial contingent among us have any input on this?" And the Magic Man turns to look at you, Jennuvera, with like, he has been here the whole time, he has been listening the whole time, but he has not been had attention drawn to him, and he's been real happy with that. He looks to you sort of terrified.
We can talk about it later if you want.
I just do not know how much help I can be here. My understanding is that the dragons pull this from their connection to the slumbering one. Is that not true?
Yes.
If it is the slumbering one that passes this corruption on, it seems like it would be difficult to fix that corruption if it is on him. That would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's really our main goal, right? Like, we would love, like, we're stopping Gorm, but we would love extra to be able to clear Herrix up as well.
Fundamentally, this is Elletrix again. This seems like it is tied not insignificantly to the pact. That these dragons are bound to their master, and that their master pushes their corruption back into them, but without the freedom to fix that, to interfere, there is nothing they can do. Would that be accurate?
Is there a way to rework the pact?
There is
like,
certainly
make
a way to rework the pact.
Yeah, but to a way where we don't have dragons running the world.
That'd be
That
great.
is a harder question. When you came back from divination, some time ago now, it was a severe blow. I thought that we had discovered what would be our ultimate move against Gorm, our emergency, so to speak. But I am wondering now if there is room here for a different avenue. And I think I know who we can ask. if you have questions you would want to ask about the pact and about this particular issue, there is someone I could call in a favor on, but I don't know that I'll get much out of them after I call this in.
I mean, now seems like a good time, right,
Well,
guys?
who? Or is that
Yeah.
not something you want to share?
I am owed a favor by an angel of Verillion.
Well,
Perfect.
It is a bit of a life debt situation. Something that is a lasting tradition from before the Fae left. My father, and he looks to Lanier, he said, and Verillion had a strong relationship. It is why Verillion is often thought to be linked with the Fae. And they had a deal, one that predates the pact, that any agreement between a Fae and one who is a descendant of Verillion is a binding deal, and it takes precedent over other agreements, both on the Fae side and on the Celestial side. This favor that I have, this is a favor that is... This interference can move beyond the restriction of the pact. So I have been very careful to not call in such a favor. But if this is when you would like us to have this conversation, now is the time. It had always been my intent to use this entity to fuel the ritual to break the pact. As a member, or as Verillion is one of the elements needed to do such a thing. But as you mentioned, that did not go so well when I did it before.
Well.
I can't think of anything more important to learn than how to cleanse this stuff.
I agree.
I have a follow-up question, though. If he doesn't give us an answer, if his answer is, I don't know, is your...
Then we're no worse off than...
If he says, I don't know, is your deal done? If he goes, I will tell you everything I know, it's nothing, bye. We're screwed then we are worse for the wear.
Seems kind of bullshit.
I don't know.
Well, Elletrix.
But I have to trust that this connection between my people and Verillion is stronger than that.
I've been burned before asking questions, that's all.
And I do not think this is a situation where we get one question. I think this is an opportunity for us to try and learn something.
You, Anfont.
I will do this, if that is what you wish.
Yeah. I think that's... Yes. I vote yes.
I also vote yes.
I hereby invoke my debt from the Angel of Verillion.
Oh, right now?
Evoriel,
Oh, God.
step forward
Oh, God.
and answer our questions. Patrick Darkheart stands from the back of the room. And
No
metal
fucking
wings
way.
burst from his back.
What, is everyone a secret angel? Jesus!
Secret
Oh, that's so cool.
angel man.
Remember in
his
divination
fucking-
we saw that he was the one that with the knife and the...
His human form falls away.
I'm so happy I was nice to him.
His human form falls away, and the metal and clockwork creature with giant wings forms up from that space. His face is like a wooden mask, hollow eyes and a hollow mouth, reminiscent of the mendicants that you saw. Most pointedly, the mendicant that you fought outside the Cave of Trials. Though it was probably not this one, there is definitely a familiarity between these creatures.
Asher takes out a coin and just like flips it a little bit, like, and sees where it lands on like the desk in front of him or table in front of him.
Yeah, like does the thing where it lands on its edge and it spins around a bunch and then it just stops. Nice. Heads up.
Asher's new to this. That's the one thing he knows. Do something with a coin, you're in the clear.
I am Avelian, child of joy.
I thought his name was going to be Taco Bell. Come on, Anthony.
I am Taco Bell, child of joy.
Hey, Taco Bell, you got something on your shirt. Gebeddo uses Mage Hand to flick his nose when he looks down.
Varillion is pleased.
Avelian, these Many Pennies who you have observed, you have interacted with, you have understood their needs. They have questions now. And they would wish for information, as is a part of our deal. And the angel waits.
Gebeddo's just staring at Jennuvera.
Asher is staring at the coin.
How do we cleanse the shadow? How do we rework the pact so that the dragons can't rise up, but also aren't connected to the corruption in Herrix?
Do question 1 first.
Okay.
How do we cleanse shadow?
If we knew of a way to cleanse shadow, we would cleanse shadow. I have theories on how to cleanse shadow, but I have never seen it done. It is my estimation that all things are possible. And so, if it is possible, then it must be possible in a way that we have simply not tried. I think that there is a place in this world for shadow. But there is a place in this world for shadow when it is harnessed, not a place in this world for shadow when it is unchecked. There are power structures in control of everything here. You have nominated a high king. You have had kings over men and dwarves and elves. You have had gods over angels. You have had high lords of the Fae over Fae. The only thing that you do not have is governance over the seeds of corruption. It is not shadow that is the problem. It is the will to corrupt. That corruption is what must be destroyed.
Angel of Varillion, the Celestials and the Fae and the Celestial and the Fae are bound by the pact. I know that for sure.
The Fae are not bound by the pact.
The Celestials are bound by the pact. The Shadow is also not bound by the pact. Correct? This is sort of a.
The pact was created by the Celestials to govern the Celestials.
So, is there I guess we talk about how all the time Shadow was closed off from this world and the Fae left and everything was shut and closed. How does the Shadow seep through the crack that is the closed door to the Shadow?
It seems to me that they have found a way to do through the astral plane. The Shadow Lord is not in the realm of shadow. The realm of shadow is empty of those entities. Many made their way to the realm of the Fae, where wars were fought. Those wars, as Lanier can attest, have ended, and the Shadow Lords were defeated, except it seems for one, who was stuck between worlds, in the astral plane, the realm of the realm of Caliesto, who stands before all. It is stuck there, and it is that way that it has seeped into the material plane, for the astral plane touches all things.
Have you ever heard of any sort of not cleansing, but just manipulation of shadow, where you can push? I'm thinking of it as pushing from one vessel to another. Maybe that.
Shadow magic itself is not inherently corrupt. The action that it does is very easy to push to corruption because it overwrites, it destroys and replaces. The magic itself is dangerous, but it is those who would use it forcefully that corrupt. The Shadow Lord, the one that remains, that is the last entity of corruption of shadow. Shadow itself, there have been plenty of times that magic was used to some success. Your Vaison here undoubtedly could recount tales of Shadow's use in the olden days. I suspect, to answer Jebeddo's question, and yours, Keth, that the thing we haven't tried, the spaces that exist to try and cleanse shadow, probably include using shadow with the other deep magics. To bring these magics together into a single purpose. If that has ever been done, I do not know of it.
Asher quietly just takes the deck, trying to act cool, just puts the deck of Virilion's cards on the desk. Just,
Oh my god.
just thinking about. He's not saying anything. It's there, but he's like, oh my god.
It's like he's wearing a sweater over a Team Virillion
Yeah, Team
t-shirt.
Virillion,
Kinda
please love me.
Spreads the sweater out a little bit.
I would love to be your, am I your champion? YN.
I have a question. Kind of totally out of left field question. Is there an inherent lightness in magic?
What do you mean?
I'm thinking what you just said, about bringing, all the forms of magic together. I'm thinking about how we have physical manifestations of 6 out of the 7 types of magic, schools of magic. And if there was some sort of I don't know how else to put it besides lightness or not shadow in magic itself, that if we could combine these representations of the magic into some single thing, almost in the same way Iron Shaper has, in the same way you just mentioned, kind of, if it would be able to fight shadow. I don't know how, but I just...
That would also certainly be something I have never seen before.
Sure.
But
in terms of magic and itself.
I would not... The arcane magics are powerful. They are not quite the deep magics, but perhaps if they were all together, they could be. To think that such a solution would forego the arcane magics is probably short-sighted.
Sure.
Sort of related question. Do the Celestials, or I guess more specifically Virillion, would they still feel any sort of connection? So, let me back up. The ley lines are closed. Are they somehow connected to the Celestials, or is that just a certain thing here? And if they are, is Virillion able to somehow get us a missing piece of magic that we need?
The ley lines are connected here to New Meritta.
Which is what I thought.
Those realms of magic are... The material plane is different from the other planes.
Right.
The celestial realm is steeped in celestial magic.
Mm-hmm.
That magic can do what other magics do, but it is not using abjuration.
Sure.
It is deep magic. It works differently. As far as Virillion gathering a piece of the arcane is not his purview.
But it would be a pretty good joke.
I don't know who would find that funny.
You know, honestly, most of his jokes I don't get.
I'm not surprised.
Whatever.
Celestial brand.
That was some holy heat.
Burned by an angel.
How can the ley lines be reopened after this?
That is a great question for someone who is more connected to the arcane realms.
Who can we talk to about that?
Caliesto, if you have a name?
You might. I know a guy.
My suspicion, the ley lines were created as with the material plane by the Titans. If it is not a Titan who touches this world to create a ley line, I don't know how else you would make them.
I look over at Jennuvera and I'm like, Titan? Is this a thing I should know?
So out of game, is this something that Gebetto would have?
Nope.
Okay, so Jennuvera shrugs.
This is the first time we've ever heard of Titans
This is the
forging
first time,
the ley
quote
lines.
unquote, all of you have heard about the Titans.
Great.
Fuck yeah.
So
we should
Jennuvera
not
says-
remember them. We do not remember the Titans.
Cool.
So
Same bit.
Jennuvera will say,
I liked it.
Titans? She pulls out a book and starts furiously paging through it.
Much knowledge has been lost.
I don't know if it's going to be in that book.
It's not in any book I've ever read.
This is very old knowledge.
It is shocking.
It is gone from this world.
Titans?
The Titans were the creators. They created the planes. They were here before. Before all. Before everything. And they are gone.
Not all of them.
Yes, but they are mostly gone.
What? What?
Gebetto?
So,
It is your secret to tell.
Do you remember the Titans?
I
thought that was pretty good.
don't want to shake a worldview that you might have held. But Caliesto is not like the rest of the gods. Caliesto made this, and Gebetto gestures around the room. She's one of these titans, and she's the last one left. And Gebetto looks back at Patrick.
Jennuvera's
Taco
scribbling.
Bell. I can't remember his angel name. Fuck.
It's Taco Bell.
Elion.
Avelian.
Avelion, that's what it was. Avelion.
Taco Belly.
Taco Bellionaire.
Tacovelian.
Even so, the Titans left their mark, and they left behind a sentry to watch. But she does not take to creation like she used to. If there are any who could reopen the ley lines, it would be her. But I'm not sure that will ever happen.
So, like how the Fae and the left our world, did the Titans do a similar thing to a broader, planar world? Did they leave? Did they die? Do we know?
We don't. That is lost to time. All we know is that they were here, and that they aren't.
So, how do we make the pact different, but not let the dragons run wild?
What do you hope to change about the pact?
We would like them to not be tied to we would like the dragons to not be tied to Herrick so that we can cure them of corruption. And she kind of looks around for confirmation that that's
You do not need to change the pact to cut the dragon's connection to Helios. But you do need to be careful. If you cut the dragon's connection to Helios, there are ways that angels can be, and he glances at the magic man, severed. There are ways that it can be done forcefully. But as you are now undoubtedly aware, doing so makes them no longer subject to our self-restriction. You can separate the dragons from Hades, but if you do, you must have something else you can bind them to. Some other way to control them. You can separate them from the corruption, but you do not want to lose control.
Yeah, that's what you're right.
This does not require an alteration of the pact.
Well, that's
It
what we were
requires
hoping.
another source.
Oh.
It requires something to bind them to.
Is there a way to influence the pact such that the Celestials will help us fight the shadow? Without the greater races,
And that
there's no one to worship the Celestials anymore.
In truth, I don't think there is anything in the pact that would stop the Celestials from fighting against the shadow.
Then why won't
And
they?
I mean specifically the Shadow Lord or creatures of shadow. The Shadow Lord escapes their view. They are embedded in politics. And the Shadow Lord has found ways to hold on to the mortals in a way that cripples the Celestials.
Then what does Virillion want? What does Verillion want of... We've talked to several entities representing celestial entities, and they all seem to say that they don't want to help, but speak out of the other side of their mouth and say they will sometimes. What does Verillion want?
Verillion's purpose in the Divine Court is what it has always been. To keep the Divine Court strong. To keep the Divine Court whole. Verillion wishes to ensure that all of these, his siblings, remain together, remain whole. Nothing has hurt my master more than the damage that was done by the Fae to our brother. He understands why Herrick sleeps, but it pains him each and every day. He understands why Salius put the pact into place, but he resents it. He understands Mercus' lust for destruction, but he will never give in to it. He comes to our council from a place of empathy, a place of understanding, but his goal is, as it always has been, to diffuse the tension that builds between the siblings, to keep them together. He is their bond. Without them, things devolve. It is why his sister gave him the power to dissolve the pact, which he will not do.
In Anthony, just for clarification, his sister is Oleander, right?
Salius.
Salius.
In this case.
Okay.
She
Cool.
wrote the
Thank you.
pact.
Got it. Cool. What about Oleander? We don't hear a lot about them.
Oleander does not care about this world anymore.
That makes sense.
Why does that make sense?
I don't know. Gods just don't seem to think about the realm of us as anything other than inconsequential unless they're...
Yeah, I definitely don't.
She did once. She cared a great deal for this world once. I think the Shadow War broke her.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep circling back to things, but you said that there's nothing keeping them from fighting Shadow. Does that mean they, like... So when we spoke with some angels of Salius recently, and she kind of like glances over at the magic man.
His head is slung.
They want to raise Herrick. They want to wake Herrick, even though yeah.
That's kind of why I said, I mean, I just don't feel like they care about us sometimes, because that's the opposite of what's good for us.
But I wanted to know kind of why, like, if there's nothing keeping them from fighting Shadow, I don't know. Can you tell us more about, like, why they won't? Or why
they can't stop the corruption. The corruption that has touched Herrick, there is nothing that they can do about that corruption. He slumbers. They resent it. They wish for him to wake. Many believe he will be just fine if he does. But the important ones know. The important ones know he is not fine. And that what was done for the good of this world. They do not like that he slumbers. They like even less that it was Lanier who did it.
Okay, so it's more of a power struggle between the gods and the fae than an actual. It's less about Herrick's and more about
Spite.
power. Yeah.
As all things are.
Sure, I just think it helps to understand some of the motivation.
And so sorry. When you mentioned combining all the magics together, and we did mention we don't have transmutation. How can we get around that? Or did you already go over that? He looks at Jebeddo.
It sounded like he was talking about the deep magics.
He was talking, yeah.
Celestial magic and fey magic and shadow magic.
Yeah.
And not our magic, right? Like, not the magic that we're used to using.
Right. Just when he said combine them, it made me think of the fact that that we had those, but...
Yeah, me too.
But he did say that the Titans would be more connected to magic, and also the secret we may have all just learned. Gestures vaguely at Jebeddo.
Okay.
What's that?
So our tract to basically, we don't know how to cleanse shadow, but a tract we can pursue is combining celestial and fey, the deep magics against it, because that hasn't been tried. That's how we're going to go about this.
Yeah, you had mentioned, Evelian, at the very beginning of this conversation that you had theories on how we might cleanse shadow. We would perform those experiments.
I think there are many types of magic. And I think to combine them, something that has never been done, because of pride, because of hubris, because of how anathema they seem to be to one another. But I think it is a combination of those magics, a reliance on a covering of each other's weaknesses, an overlapping of power that would be needed for such a thing. That nullification may be essential, but like all weapons, it may cut multiple ways, and you may have to be careful about what you bring into this world.
Okay.
I don't know if those things
try
will work, to be clear. But my theory is that all things are possible.
Okay. So Jennuvera in her journal has written Evelian's theories, all things are possible, ? Make a Point 2. Make a weapon that combines deep magics.
Throw everything at the wall at once.
We have one deep magic, or multiple deep magic representatives here. You from the Celestials, and Lanier and Elletrix from the Fae. Lanier, do you know of anything like what he's talking about? They are talking about, sorry.
I know that I have never touched I have never brought my magic to bear with magic from the Celestials and with magic of the Shadow. That has never happened. He is right about that.
Silurian?
I cannot carry that name, Gebeddo.
That's your name.
Not anymore.
If it's all right with you, I'd like to still use it. This question...
It's all right with you. I'd prefer you did not.
Can we call you the Magic Man? It's way less sad than the exiled one. I know that's what you said.
Yeah,
but
I won't use that one.
I just feels sad and sad.
I think it would be okay.
Okay.
To be called the Magic Man.
All right. In your history, your relationship with Salius allowed you access to secrets. Is there something that you have locked away in your current memories that might help us on this? Perhaps we could work with Lanier and Elletrix and Iron Shaper to try to create something that utilizes those powers. Visong, help us from the shadow side?
I would be willing to work on this with Lanier, with Elletrix, and with your people, with the understanding that we will be even. This is a violation of pact. It will cause problems, but the deal the Master made with Lanier supersedes this. There are accordances for this within the pact that we will be relying on. It is a technicality that has not been used for a very long time. This will cause a stir. I need you to know that, because I do not want you to unwittingly unleash trouble, as you are so good at wittingly unleashing trouble.
Gebeddo winks at the angel.
Asher thumbs up.
Drugs.
Just kind of to the ether.
He doesn't know what he's thumbs upping still, but he's
just
doing
like, I'm here. I learned this gesture.
Asher emotes.
But about the pact, the Magic Man is not bound to the pact anymore.
No.
So I don't know if that changes it. Like I
So
just think
what?
that. So I think that his involvement doesn't affect, like, or risk our. Like, listen, whatever we do is going to be inviting trouble.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think that any one of us would be enough.
I think maybe this is what you're getting to, Jennuvera, but he's of celestial magic, but not bound by the pact. If we're trying to mix magic,
I don't think any one of us would be enough.
Oh, okay.
I got a personal question. Just talking about Dunglar as he looks around. Do you think he has this magical pendant that makes him invincible?
I think the best tricks are rooted in a kernel of truth.
Taco Bell. The best truths are rooted in a kernel of truth. Taco Bell the Angel. 2020.
Taco Bellion.
What is the corruption or force that binds the tribes in Ishtara? Because I don't know.
You are right when you say that Gorm has leveraged them.
Mm-hmm.
But it is... They were getting sick before Gorm took control.
I remember.
It is that sickness he leverages. They face the same corruptive force that is plaguing this world. If there is nothing else, then we can begin. But I would urge you to think hard about the dragons. There are options.
I'm not going to kill all the black dragons.
I would never, ever wish that.
Oh, what were your options? Sorry, what were your options then?
You must find a way to control them.
Oh, right.
Something safe to bind them to. A magic strong enough to take control and hold control. But separate from where they draw their power now.
Do you have any suggestions on who I could ask for that? I mean, we've got pretty much the best minds in New Meritta in this room. So I don't know.
I can tell you where I would look if I were you.
Please.
It causes me no end of pain to do so. So know that I do this, Jennuvera, because I like you.
Jennuvera,
like
whew. Good.
Thumbs up again.
I've come to grow fond of the five of you.
We love you, Avelian.
He looks at Lanya. And then he leaves.
Is, Patrick Darkheart just gone?
Yes.
Yeah, his
Okay.
fucking Patrick suit is on the goddamn floor. He unzipped his goddamn self and just is a robot.
Hey everyone, just a couple quick reminders. If you like the show, don't forget to tell your friends. And you can head over to patreon.com/adventureinc and become a patron as well. You can also head to our website, adventureincpod.com, for links to our social media and the store where you can find t-shirts, stickers, and more. That's all. We'll see you next week.